Good day, ladies and gentlemen. We're here on the episode of the Ridgebacks Rumble Talk with our very special guest, Nicole Escano. Nicole, you want to say hi to everyone?
Hi.
Good to have you on the show, Nicole. How's your day been?
Pretty good. Busy, but pretty good.
Great, great, great. So, guys, if you don't know Nicole, Nicole is actually a player on the women's hockey team for your Ridgebacks in number 26. Amazing, stellar first year going into her second year. He had an amazing season with 3 goals, 5 assists. He does play defense too, and he's also studying criminology and justice studies. How has been your experience in first year so far, Nicole?
It was pretty good. It was a big adjustment, definitely, like academic wise, coming out of high school. A lot more work, all that kind of, a lot fun stuff. Sports wise, hockey just made it so much more enjoyable and fun.
True, true. I expect that to happen. I mean, you have a really busy lifestyle, lots of things going on at the same time. No real down moments. I could
No,
put it that way. Always something happening with you.
for
So that's
sure.
good. And you're also from Kingston, Ontario as well.
Yes.
That is pretty good. Anything special to say about that?
Honestly, there's really not a lot to do here, but it's our downtown of Kingston's pretty nice to go there.
All right, that's great then. So before I start off, I'm going to do a little bit of a quiz for you. But before I start off with that, just want to say a quick fun fact that apparently you are ambidextrous with both of your feet when you're playing soccer. And you said you can also write with both of your hands up until you were 8. So what happened after you turned 8?
um, I think I was just getting higher in school. I think it was going to what was like grade 3, grade 4 at that time,
Yeah.
and it was just kind of like I had to pick a hand to start writing with, and I just chose my right hand. I guess I don't really remember that.
Oh, okay, I see. It was more of a choice thing. It just happened. If you
Yeah.
wanted to train your other hand right now, can you still do that? Is that still a possibility?
No.
All right. But let's say you were ambidextrous though. When you're playing hockey, does that benefit you or give you kind of an edge in any way? Like how it would if you're playing soccer? Just curious.
um, Maybe for with my feet, I guess, just making it easy. Like I don't really obviously have my left side is a bit less harder for me to pivot, I guess, but
Yeah.
it's not like one side is my right side is so much stronger than my left. It's more of kind of like a 60-30 kind of thing. So I think being ambidextrous my feet kind of helps with that way with hockey, but
All
yeah.
right. And definitely, at least if it did help a whole lot, we can see the results of that through how you did perform this season. And of course, let's start off with the quiz. So this past season was your very first season, Nicole, playing
Yes.
for the Ridgeback. And you had a couple of opponents during the regular season. Now, who was your very first opponent you played against? Do you
Uh,
remember?
I think our first regular season was Ryerson.
Yes, that is
Yeah.
correct. And what was the score of the game? Ooh.
3-1?
Close. Well, if you add 1 goal to each team, it was 2-4 actually. And we did lose the game, but who cares about that? We
Yeah.
eventually did pretty well towards the end. So let's see this other question though. When was the Zamboni invented?
Like, was it late 1800s, early 1900s? I really don't know.
I'll say more towards the first half of the 1900s. Yeah, 1949 actually. I mean, we
Okay.
weren't even close to being born then, so there's no need to remember that. That's out of the picture. And now my last question for you: who was the first woman to play in the NHL?
I don't remember her name. I think it was an M, but she was a goalie. I know that.
Yes. Well, her name was Manon Rhéaume. Interesting. So that's just random fun facts you can remember, I guess. Okay, so let's start off talking a bit more about this year's season. I know you did receive an award for it also, and then you received lots of praise from different people. And of course, you scored your first goal against U of T. Well, even though we did end up losing that game, what was your experience like building up in terms of the play? Just break that down for us and the whole entire experience.
Well, honestly, the U of T rink is really, it's honestly one of the bigger rinks I've been in. So it was kind of a nice atmosphere to be there, like even though there wasn't really a lot of fans, but it was just honestly it's probably one of my favorite rinks.
The
But
ring.
yeah, I think the play was like a D to D pass and then down low to I think it was like Megan Johnson down there in the corner, and then she like I think she was passing to someone else like that was higher up in the slot, but I just snuck down like right on top of the crease and just was there to just tap it in.
It is what it is. I mean, it's still a
Yeah.
good goal nonetheless. So I know you did mention fans, though. Do you generally tend to have a lot of fans come watch you during your games, or family or whatnot?
My mom and dad came to every single game this past year, like no matter where it was. They traveled all the way up to Sudbury, North Bay. So it was nice to have my parents there at every game. I don't think we had like a lot of fans at our like home games, but it was like everyone's parents and then like a few family friends and stuff like that. But it's okay to not have a lot
It's
of
a start.
fun.
Don't worry, very soon. We'll make up for that. We'll start off a Nicole fan club pretty soon. But when that happens, just be on the lookout. And transitioning, of course, before coming into the Ridgebacks, playing at a different level of hockey, you did play previously in the PWHL. How was your experience like there? And then what was the transition like moving to playing in the OUA?
With the PWHL, it was more like I was one of the oldest players in the leagues, and I had like a lot of height and strength on a lot of like the younger players that we played against. So it was definitely like a big change going from being one of the oldest players in the league to being one of the youngest players in the league within the OUA.
Yeah.
The strength and the speed was like a lot more. I guess the speed was a lot faster. The strength of the players was honestly like some players I wasn't expecting to be like. I guess I was like at first I was a little bit overwhelmed with how strong like a bunch of other players were, but I just played my game a bit differently depending on who you're playing against to make sure I wouldn't like get beat going one-on-ones kind of thing or
Yeah.
lose my battles in the corners.
Interesting. So now you've identified some of your strengths that you said you had there. In the OUA, how well would you say you incorporate your strengths into how you play your game? What are some examples of how you play to your strengths to help you play really well?
Honestly, I think I have like I think I'm more of like an offensive defenseman, so like I can use my strengths to realize like my hockey sense to realize when would be a good time to jump up in the play and be that fourth forward kind of thing and
Yeah, I
and
know
just
what
like, help out that way. And then obviously on on the defensive zone, like just learning better ways for how I can not get beat along the boards and like all that kind of stuff.
interesting. That's good then. Okay, let's break it down more into the bigger sense of the team now. Altogether, you've gotten to play with the different styles of plays, different types of players, new faces, whatnot, and all of that. Altogether, what you know behind the scenes, as well as I guess the plays your coach draws up for you, and you know the team more than us. Let me just put it that way.
Mhm.
What would you say is one thing that is heavily underrated about the women's hockey team that maybe you know this is fantastic, we're really good at this, but maybe we didn't get to show enough of this for people to really recognize that? And what
Mhm.
is one thing you would say, okay, this is an area that we did well in, but I know there's a lot of potential that we can improve upon this a lot more in the future.
For sure. I think something that not a lot of people know about our team because we had a pretty rough start to our season, but everyone was still putting in a whole like so much work like in the gym, off ice, like extra skates, like all that kind of stuff. Like we were all working so hard behind the scenes to try to make that first half of our season a lot better going into the second half of the season. And obviously our stats did show that over that
Yeah.
we got a lot better. So I definitely think our team was extremely hardworking and we never gave up, no matter obviously how not well the first half of our season went. Um, I think like one thing we could probably build on as a team is just like our communication on the ice.
Mm,
And then if something doesn't go right on the ice, to talk about it on the bench. Like our team, like the team already does that a lot, but I feel like
yeah.
if we were just be a bit louder on the ice so we'd know like when people are open and that kind of stuff. So I think that would be a big help going into hopefully next season.
Hopefully next season. Yes, I know. We'll talk about that soon. And I love how you were able to point that out. Such a things as communication and hard work. Would you say that those were some of the things that helped the team towards the end of the season, especially during your last 8 games when you actually won 6 of those games? What would you say was the X factor? Let me just define it that way.
Honestly, I think those 8 games, the team just came together. Like it was unbelievable how like close our team got within that little period of time because we started seeing a lot of great things happen just before Christmas break, and we just wanted to continue with all that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
And then that just, do you think, what do you think needs to be done so that that momentum carries on into next season? Since we have such a huge amount of time before it starts.
I think like just the communication piece, like our team is still talking a lot. Like we're talking almost every single day over the summer, like on Snapchat kind of stuff. So we know everything that's going on in each other's lives, and we're still doing workouts that ETS is providing us with, and so like all that kind of stuff, making sure everyone's still ready to go into hopefully the season starting in January, but just to be ready when we get back up to Oshawa, just so we can all still uh,
Yeah, interesting. Okay, so that's nice to see the whole overview of how it's going altogether. So now let's take a bit of a detour. I want to do more of a casual, chill quiz for you. Ask you a few questions about your teammates, some of the fun parts of it, some of the, I guess, not so serious as we might see. So, of course, there are a lot of different characters on your team. Who would you say is probably the funniest person on the women's hockey team? If I want to get a good laugh, who should I go to?
Definitely Brooklyn Duff, 100%. She's my roommate in res, and we never stopped laughing. It's just she has these jokes that she tells, and just like how like crazy, well, not crazy, but like how much fun she is to be around. Definitely Brooklyn Duff.
That's good. That's good. Okay, let me actually ask this: who would you say is most likely to become a chef on your team or to own a restaurant? Who
Um,
has that good taste in food? Maybe when you go out for team dinners or whatever.
I feel like Briar Hughes could
Right?
definitely.
Have there been instances where she's shown that?
Just like whenever like we would go out, like with for dinners and stuff, or just like pictures she sent us how like what she eats at home and stuff like that. It's all bougie food, so I would definitely feel like Briar would have a restaurant, pretty high end restaurant.
Pretty high end. That's a good one. Okay, and then let's look at you now. Then, what would you say is one thing you wish more people knew about you as a person?
Um, oh, I don't know. Um, I feel like I'm like a pretty open book. I feel like everyone knows everything about me already. But I mean, there's like a nickname that I was given from like from my Kingston family, like all the hockey players and stuff. I'd be considered Crazy Nick. Crazy
Crazy
Nick
Nick.
being like
Mm.
I guess that.
So if I'm getting on the ice, I'm playing for a different team. I'm coming up against Crazy Nick. What should I expect? What kind of heat or what just in general? What should I expect?
um Probably like a lot of high energy stuff like on the ice, and sometimes I can get pretty aggressive along the boards with other teams, but I mean that just comes with playing hockey.
Sure, it is what it is, man. Okay, so let's talk more about how sports plays around your lifestyle and whatnot. Looking back in perspective, overall, of course, you have different aspects of your life. You have your social life, you have your sporting life, you have your educational side. How are you able to balance everything all together? What's the secret formula for you?
Um, Honestly, right now with me balancing like training, working, and then I'm taking a few summer courses this summer. Is just like making sure like I write down my work schedule so I know when exactly I'm working, and so I can like make sure I can play in time to still get my training in, to still go hang out with a few of my friends,
Yeah.
and obviously get like that rest time, which is also really important. But I think it's just like keeping a schedule, making sure like you know what's going on for your next week or so.
True, true. And of course, you definitely must have people who you can use to keep yourself accountable. I mean, do you spend a lot of time with your teammates, or do you tend to mix it up, spend more time with people who aren't in your team, or how does that look like for you?
Well, right now, like obviously I'm in Kingston, everyone else is home, and the only other player from our team that's like, well, players around, I guess, from my team is Marissa Murphy, but she moved back up to Oshawa, and Cassidy Ford's in Gananoque, which is about 30 minutes from Kingston. But
Yeah.
so I haven't really hung out with them. I FaceTimed like a few of the other players and stuff, but I usually hang out with like my high school friends when I'm free.
Interesting. So you're really good at keeping in touch with people then. Shit, that must be the case. Okay, that's good to always hear, essentially. And right now, how would you say? What are some of the exercises you've been doing, or maybe with the rest of your team? What does that routine look like to make sure that you and the rest of the team are staying fit moving forward to look at the season?
So right now, like I'm doing like a lot of cardio. So like I'm going running, rollerblading, biking, like all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
And then I have like a few weights in my garage that I can use for like deadlifts, bench press, like that kind of stuff, just to obviously keep myself like make sure I have a little bit of muscle when I go back to school without being able to go to the gym. But yeah, just making sure I get my cardio to make sure. I think that's one of the bigger important things is making sure my cardio is spot on.
That's good. That's good then. So looking forward, of course, the season, the fall aspect of it especially is kind of out of the picture for the most part. What would you say? What are some of the updates you've heard in terms of how the season is going to play out? I guess next year, what's going to happen? Is the structure going to be the same? What would you say you've heard so far altogether?
Um, I haven't really heard a lot about what's happening next year, but I know that the OUA is like already starting to plan like schedules and stuff. Like I think OUA is expecting us to start playing games like January 1st, January 2nd, as long as this whole pandemic is over. Well, not
Yeah.
over, but like, you know. But I've heard that like we can still like train as a team, but obviously outdoors and keeping that 6 feet distance. And just like we can still spend time as a team, just obviously like within our house groups. And I think I heard, I'm not 100% sure, that if our rink is open, we'll actually be able to go on the ice. But obviously right now, max of 10 people on the ice at a time.
That's good, man. I mean, everything is kind of falling back in place bit by bit, step
Mhm.
by step, and whatnot. So it's always good to hear that, though.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if I did ask you this, but I'm gonna take this back a bit now. When we're looking at the transition moving from PWHL down to OUA, why would you say what came about in that decision of saying I want to play varsity hockey instead of just going straight to university without being a student athlete? Why did you decide that this is the lifestyle I want to take upon? Because it's not an easy lifestyle. Why did
Mm.
you say, you know what, this is for me? I'm made for this.
Honestly, I think it was just when I was playing midget hockey, I wasn't really thinking about like what I wanted to do with my life, like job wise. So I wasn't really focusing on going to university at that point. I was just like, I just want to play hockey for the rest of my life. Like, love the sport. And then once I got into the Kingston junior team in the PW,
Yeah,
there was like some older girls, some alumni that came back from university and were like, wow, like they were on like varsity hockey teams. Like a couple of the girls went D1, and they were just saying like how much more like fun it is to play hockey or play a sport at university, and how you're creating that like instant second family.
yeah,
So I was just like, wow, like that would be amazing if I ever got the opportunity to play hockey and go to school and
yeah.
study what I want to do. So I think I just fell in love with the idea of it. And I obviously am very thankful and lucky that I got the chance to actually experience it.
100%. So yeah, actually, this begs me to ask this question: why did you choose Ontario Tech specifically as a school you wanted to go about achieving that?
I chose it more for the whole like academic aspect because I was actually told by a very wise man, one of my old coaches, saying if I ever like broke a limb, what
Yes.
would this university be successful in making me want to do what I want to do like after school? So like if I've had a career-ending injury, could I still do what I wanted to do after university while going to
Yes.
that university? And I was like, okay. I'd had a ton of campus visits and I just like fell in love with Ontario Tech campus. And I don't know, I kind of like how like the split it is. So like how my program is downtown and like how I can see like go through like all of Oshawa and just like I don't know. I don't know. I just like really liked Oshawa and I liked the program it had and everything the school had to offer. Yeah, I don't I just fell in love with it.
Kind of similar reasons. I'm sure a lot of people had the same reasons as well. So that is great to see your experiences like that. So you also mentioned Oshawa too. Comparing your hometown of Kingston to Oshawa, what would you say are the similarities, or would you say Oshawa has this, we don't have that, or I like Oshawa better for this, I love Kingston better for that? How would you compare both of them?
They're both pretty similar in size, I would say. Like Kingston's not too big, but it's not too small. And the same thing goes for Oshawa. Um, I like how it's like pretty close to Toronto. Like it's like 45 minutes an hour to Toronto. So if we wanted to go
Yeah.
shopping at any of the malls in Toronto, we're nice and close. Um, Even though Oshawa has a pretty nice mall, I guess. It's better
Yeah.
than the one here in Kingston. But it has like nice trails and it's very like a few like behind the residence at on campus. There's a bunch of nice trails back there, which I really enjoyed about Oshawa.
That's good. I really love the trails, especially too. I haven't explored them fully too, but that's definitely, thanks for pointing that out.
Yeah.
So let's kind of move into this last section. It's more of a would you rather. I want to see what your take would be on this to kind of see, where is your head at in terms of these two options. But let me ask you a few of these. So just like the wise person who gave you that advice, let's say you wanted to be in their shoes and actually be a coach or whatever. Let's say in this case you wanted to be a coach of a hockey team. Would you rather coach a pro team with ready-made talent and then more or less just focus on how to use that pool of talent and focus more on your tactics and whatnot? Or would you rather coach a semi-pro team where you have a lot of developing players and focus more on player development? Which one would you prefer?
I'd probably go semi-pro.
Why?
I just feel like well, obviously back to my life. I would be like a mentor kind of thing for a
Yeah.
bunch of younger players and younger teams here in Kingston. I did that for I think 2 or 3 years, and just being a part of like someone developing their skill and their love for the hockey just like does something to you.
Yeah.
It's just, like, they look up to you and it's just like wow, like
This
this
is fun.
person. Yeah, exactly. So I'd definitely go semi-pro.
Wonderful. I actually love that. I love that, Ben. So let me ask you this other one. You, of course, if you were to, let's say you were to be a leader in one of these two aspects, this is not in terms of the team, this is more stats. So would you rather lead the league in goals or assists?
Assist.
Assists, why do you say so?
Because I don't know. Like having a lot of goals is nice, but also having a lot of assists are like pretty good too, I guess. I don't know, because it's like you're a playmaker, you're helping the team, even
Yeah,
though being scoring a lot of goals is also helping the team. But
yeah.
I don't know. I'd rather go assists.
But it's good to also take someone along with you if you're
Mhm.
getting that. You're helping someone else in the equation too. You're helping them get the goal. So
Yeah.
that's good. So would you prefer to peak early in your career, be a nice hot draft pick right from the start, maybe number one, and everyone's talking about you, and you're really good, and that's you kind of just stay at that level for the rest of your career at just that good level. You don't really improve massively after that. Or
Hmm.
would you rather start off as barely even making it into the league and peak very late into your career? Which one would you prefer?
I don't know. I think I'd probably go with like peaking later, like barely making the team because it like gives you something to work for, I guess.
Yeah, I see what you mean. All right, that's good. And I have two more for you though. Would you rather play only in the first two periods of every single game of the season, or only be allowed to ever play in the third period? I want to get your take on this.
Oh, I don't know. That's such a hard question.
I know. That's why I
Um,
chose.
I feel like I'd probably only want to play in the third period because that's when games get really interesting.
Yeah, and plus you'd be fresh. You won't have the wear and tear from the first two periods. You're just ready to go, put in all the energy. Okay, I see that. I see that. So this one is the last one. Let's say you're in the playoffs, all the way in the finals. You've worked super hard this season. Everyone's done super well. Maybe you're even bound to become the MVP or whatever. All the good stuff is happening. But you have to lose this game. Or let's say you end up losing this game either way, in either of these two options. Would you rather lose narrowly to a team, let's say an underdog team that was terrible, that nobody thought was good, that nobody thought would make it to that finals? Or would you rather lose narrowly to your strongest rival or your worst rival? Which would you prefer?
I'd probably go lose nearly to the strongest rival. Definitely.
Fun.
Um, because it's just like if like you were the underdog team and you just like lost to like barely lost to what like the best team in the league or the best team in the country or whatever.
Yeah,
It's just kind of like it's also like wow, like this is like we just put in a lot of hard work and we like lost like one goal to like the best team in the nation or something.
that's true. As you can really beat your chest and say, oh, wow, maybe we're actually as good as these guys.
Uh,
We just got unlucky to lose to them and whatnot. Fair enough. Fair enough then. Okay, so let's wrap up. That quiz part is done. Let's talk more about your lifestyle now, Nicole. Away from hockey, away from school, whatnot. I know you mentioned, gave a little bit of hint at the start that you're an open book. You're a very fun person on the ice. You're very determined. You go for it. You can be aggressive, as you said, which could be good in a lot of cases. But off the ice, away from all of that, who is Nicole? Who are you as a person? How would you describe yourself?
I'd say I'm a pretty laid back person,
Yeah,
depending on what it comes to, I guess. Like when it comes to like academics, it's just like gotta be hardworking for that, obviously.
yeah.
Um, I'd say I'm a pretty humble person, I guess. I don't know how else to describe myself. I don't know. Hardworking, nice,
Nice.
helpful.
That's good.
Well, yeah, I guess that's who I am.
Great. I mean, those are all fantastic qualities, easily. So, what would you say you like to do for fun with your friends? Maybe even your high school friends, your friends from the hockey team, anyone. What do you like to do for fun away from that lifestyle?
Um, I like going to watch the sunset. It's pretty calming.
Mm,
I do that a lot with my friends. Um, I don't know. We don't really do a lot. Like Kingston, you can't really do a lot in Kingston. Like we'll either just like drive around, like seeing all of Kingston, trying to find new places in Kingston or what we haven't seen yet.
yeah,
Um, yeah, there's we don't really do a lot, or we'll sit in a park and talk for hours. Yeah.
yeah. Those are always pretty nice. It's a very nice and wholesome experience.
Hmm.
So, I feel like the way you described it, all those qualities that you mentioned earlier, you being humble, you being determined, hardworking, especially, looking back in retrospect, right from the day you were born up until now, what would you say are some of those defining moments, very strong moments that have shaped your character and shaped you into the person you are today?
Honestly, right from like the start of my life, I started off with had to persevere through a lot of things when I think I was like 4 or 5 months old, and I had, I want to say 2 or 3 surgeries to get a cyst removed. So I was in the hospital for a couple months at that point. So I guess like that would make me a pretty strong baby, I guess, to be able to like go through that and come out like healthy.
Yeah.
And then going on from there till I was about in grade 3 when I was diagnosed with a few learning disabilities.
Wow.
So that definitely like took a toll on me at first because I was like, wow, like what's wrong with me? Why can't I learn the same way as everyone else? And then just from there, being able to build on that and become stronger and realize that I'm just as good as everyone else, and having a couple learning disabilities, having a few things wrong with you, like doesn't make you any less of a person or anything like that. So I feel like those things I went through, I would say, definitely made me be a pretty like strong, persevering person to come out on top.
That's amazing, though. Thank you for sharing that. And of course, those are very, very life-changing moments. Would you say those are things that, first of all, that you often remember, let's say when you're faced with tough challenges and you just remember some of these events you've been through, and that immediately gives you that passion or motivation to push past those tough things? Or would you say that is more or less, it's already a part of you now? It's phased into more of your character, just your being, and you just naturally are able to break through anything. How would you describe yourself now?
I think naturally, when I come up against a challenge, I'm like, okay, like I'm ready to take this on. I got this, and I think it's just like become a part of me now to be able to push through all that kind of stuff and not think twice about not wanting to do it.
Yeah, yeah, I like that too. And there's also this phrase that I heard, or I think everyone's heard this, that no person is an island, obviously. So there have definitely been people such as your family who have played strong influences in your development, both as a person, also as a sports person, to even just some of the characteristic traits you spoke about yourself having. How has
Mm-hmm.
your family really helped you out with that? And maybe you could even mention specific people and what roles they played in that too.
For sure. I think starting off with my brother, my older brother, he was always someone I look up to because he played a lot of sports growing up, and I wanted to be just like him. And I think he really helped me grow a love for being active and wanting to stay active and be healthy. With my dad, at first he like put me into a ton of different sports. He pushed me to um, keep getting better at things, and I think he helped me develop a lot of determination and yeah, to help me get through all that kind of stuff. And then um, my mom helped more, I feel like, develop my personality to grow up always not being afraid to ask for help, not being afraid to do anything. So I think all those three things put together definitely helped myself, and yeah.
That's great. I mean, you have a lovely, well-rounded family. I love that for sure. So now, finally, what would you say are some of those things that, you know, how they always say that different things can bring a community together? It could be food, it could be sports, especially. Would you say that your family is also really into sports as their own? Do you guys tend to watch hockey together a whole lot? And what are some of those teams that you guys support or you guys love to watch?
um well, my family's a big Habs fan. So I guess I grew up just like being forced, I guess, to be a Habs fan. And it's just like because we have family that live in Montreal, so when we go up and see them, we try to go watch like the Habs practice when we can. I think that's like the big team my family and I watch when we're home.
Yeah.
But I like to when I got off to university, I started watching more of like the Leafs. um, and
Oh.
yeah, so I started like watching like because they had a really strong power play, penalty kill, like all that kind of stuff. So I guess it was more just like watching them, just started off watching them just to see how well they move the puck around on the ice and all that kind of stuff. And then from there, it kind of just grew like, wow, I really like watching this team. Like, I guess like I cheer for the Leafs ish sort
Wow.
of. Yeah.
How does that how does that go down with the rest of your family?
Like, I don't know if they know, but like I feel like they do. But honestly, like it is what it is. Yeah.
Cool, just leave it that way. Okay, that's fantastic, guys. So now, finally, do you have any last message? Anyone you want to shout out? Anything that's just in your chest that you want to just say to the whole community that we should know? Now is your chance. The floor is yours.
Honestly, just saying to all those people that aren't where they want to be right now, just like keep fighting and working. If you really want to be there, you'll get there. Who knows if it's tomorrow, a month from now, 5 years from now, you know, if you really want it that bad, like fight for it, work for it, that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Nice, nice. Fight like crazy Nikki. Well,
Yeah.
or no, we should probably come up with a different nickname for you. I think we have a whole lot. When we start your Nicole fan club and the Ontario Tech Ridgebacks, we'll come up with something better. But thank you so much for joining us, Nicole. It was great having you. We had so much fun in this and appreciate it.
Yes, thank you for having me.